Planet Earth is going through a new age, the birth of a new age, and we're seeing the evolution of a new age. We're at the very beginning stages of that. Our guest will articulate how things will need to change on all levels. So I represent the Unarius Academy of Science, whose core textbook is The Infinite Concept of Cosmic Creation.
How old is that book, Dave?
It was written in 1954 by a very high being. Ernest Norman is his physical name. And Ernest Norman is the author of several books. This is the core textbook. And Ernest Norman is a very developed clairvoyant scientist and spiritual person. He was overshadowed by the same consciousness that Jesus of Nazareth was overshadowed by. So, what is the new age that you're seeing come about? So planet Earth and all the people here are going through a tremendous transition. There's a changeover from old cycles to newer cycles. And indeed, old cycles repeat themselves over and over again. So we need to develop a physics of consciousness. That's what you're seeing, how consciousness will be added to physics. So there will be a joining of science and spirit. Now, there is a great spiritual hierarchy. They live in a higher spiritual dimension who has the care and the overseeing of the evolution of hundreds of thousands of planets. And they have sent representatives, emissaries from their higher developed spiritual worlds. Tesla was one of these people. He has a higher self that he's worked for ages and ages. Nikola Tesla's higher self is called Archangel Michael. One of his previous lifetimes was Leonardo da Vinci. So Nikola Tesla started leading us down a road to understanding physics. He gave us an energy system. It was only a temporary measure. It was not to hang on to it forever. He planted the seeds for pollution-free, wireless transmission of energies, which have their origin in other dimensions. So when we learn that every atom in our bodies, and everywhere in the continent, in any physical dimension, no matter what galaxy they're in, have their source from any number of a spiritual dimensions or a fourth dimension. So when science properly understands how atoms are connected to their higher self, improperly called the isotope, and linked up right to the heart of infinity, they will stop using fission and fusion to break that atom from its higher self. Fukushima never needed to happen had they had this understanding. This is a fourth dimensional understanding of how creation happens. Creation is going on all around us. There was never a beginning to the universe. There's never going to be an end to the universe. The universe is infinite, eternal. But there are certain beings who had to incarnate here to help us understand these. So that's the transition. Planet Earth is transitioning from old, worn-out cycles of me first, you last, I win, you lose, and we're evolving to a more spiritual dimensions or understanding where science can be joined with spirit. Now, Nikola Tesla planted the seeds, as I said, for this new understanding of energy. So if we could go back to where Kirlian photography left off and develop a physics that utilized vibrations, dimensions, tunability like a radio, and tuning in to the higher dimensions to bring down, like a radio, the infinite is broadcasting in many different dimensions. It's all a matter of learning how to tune into it. The Atlanteans were masters of this. And Nikola Tesla tried to introduce the old Atlantean technology, but he didn't call it that. He was in tune or inspired to bring about a new understanding of science. And the full articulation of all of this is in this great, incredible Unarius library. In other words, if we're going to evolve a very high sophisticated Tesla physics or electronics or whatever you want to call it, we need the spiritual understanding not to misuse it, This is what happened in Atlantis. We all misused that one power tower that was erected in Atlantis. It powered the whole continent with wireless energy. Each home had a little split ball antenna that received that energy. So there's certain people who broke into that power generation station, had no idea what they were doing. It caused the power tower in 12,000 BC to break apart. And it was in the middle of converting fourth dimensional energy into third dimensional usable energy.
It was George that did that.
And
Thanks, Daniel.
at the bottom of the Caribbean, it's still partially converting and vectoring up that fourth dimensional energy, known as the Bermuda Triangle. One day we will have the physics, with the help of probably the extraterrestrials, to go down there and turn it off. So there is a wonderful new age of science and spirit coming about. Adding a little note from a slightly different perspective. Greg probably knows more about this, but you know how metal is purified through smelting? Well, they remove impurities from metal. They put it sometimes under intense heat so the impurities can be burned away, and what's left over is a purified metal or alloy, right? All right. So planet Earth, due to its unique history, ancient history, and all the cycles that are coming back, there is intense light directed to our planet by the higher spiritual hierarchy. Now, that light, or let's put it another way, all of the negative cycles that we've been through, the destruction of Atlantis, Rome, the debauchery of Rome, etc., all of those negative cycles are coming back to planet Earth to be burned away. So it's like a cauldron of boiling, burning liquid, and all of the impurities, i.e. the negative cycles, are coming to the surface. And with our connection to our higher self and the spiritual agencies, we're going to be able to get through this because of all the different processes that are going on to heal planet Earth. So what you see is the transition between the old ages and the new ages being born. So this smelting, this purification will occur over dozens and decades of years. So in the future hundreds of years, you will see planet Earth become purified because of the burning away and the releasement of all the negative cycles that are now coming to the surface.
I hope I'm gone then.
You won't be gone.
All that purified stuff, man.
A lot of us
You'll
will
be saved by the light 10 times before that.
A lot of us will be coming back
Oh,
as
no.
new age thinkers, scientists, advocators, leaders, to guide this planet into a new age.
Thank you. Now let's hear from